All right, Pete. Action on girl.
All right. Okay, let's start with. Should we directly reference Rasputin? That was a gift as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, so why were you gifted full size Rasputin? I don't even know if I know. I don't know very much about Rasputin.
The Russian?
So
I
I
know it's Russian, but
Despot?
So yes, I teach a Russian history class, and my students tend to love it. It tends to be my class in the spring that I have, where students come back, and so out of my 25-ish students, I usually have about 20 that I know. So it's kind of the class we all celebrate, students I've made relationships with, and one year they decided I needed a Rasputin, a life-size cardboard cutout. I made a joke in class. I said, "Hey, if you give me this creepy-looking guy, I'll use it to scare my office mate." And the next day I showed up and I had a life-size cardboard cutout. And unfortunately, it spiraled out of control there. I've been teaching it for several years, and every year I get a new present. And so I get these collection going.
do you? I don't know if you'll. I don't want you to over speculate, but are history and political sciences courses where you feel like students traditionally cohort or come back and collect together?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of connection, especially with history and political science. It brings similar people together, and they tend to take it kind of in a track together because there's a lot of similarities between the two. Especially the way I teach it. My history class is obviously historically focused, but my political science ones are as well, because students need to know where we came from to know where we're going. And so I teach it with a historical slant to say, this is what we've done, this is what is happening, and here's what you can do.
Do you feel like? I get that they have similar interests, like politics maybe being an interest in political science, but I don't want to get into politics themselves. But how do you, Paul, help students who are ideologically, politically different get along together so well?
Yeah, in the classroom, there's a big challenge where students will come and they'll have very different ideological backgrounds, and that tends to present a challenge. One thing that I do is I take a step back and I say, this is a classroom for your opinions, you can bring them to the table, but I want you to back them up with fact. I don't take sides, I don't push a certain idea, I let them talk. And then I make them talk to each other. I make them point blank, rather than screaming into the void of social media, I make them look at a person with a face that has a different opinion than them, and then they talk about it. The room is an open forum, and they bring what they want to the table. They can bring up things they've seen on the news, different ideas, and we talk about it, all while staying with the course competencies, of course. But it really kind of breaks down those barriers, because so often we think people, well, that's a bad person, that's my enemy. But instead, they see a real person, they've shared a room with them, they can get along well enough, and they tend to stay very respectful, and it kind of breaks those barriers down.
Is there, in a way, they're collaborating?
Yes?
Discussion collaboration. It's not necessarily towards a project, maybe a class project, but how do you, other than letting them have their opinions and forcing them to have facts, how do you, are there other tactics you use to allow them to collaborate?
Lots of times when we get onto different subjects, I force the students to work together, because I put them into groups and I make them either defend or refute something, and they have to work it out themselves the best way to get to the answer. And then I'll make them come up to the front of the room, and they have to give their opinion and again, defend or refute it.
Is, gosh, how do I ask this? Obviously, so you said you forced them to to do a thing, but they love you enough to bring you cardboard cutouts, full-size cardboard cutouts of historical figures.
Yes.
So you're not just forcing them to.
No, and a lot of times I don't force them. I start the conversation. I make a lot of jokes. I try to kind of lighten the mood of the room, and I really reinforce there aren't necessarily wrong answers, and nobody's going to judge anybody for what they think. They just, once we hear what they have to bring to the table, then we can talk about it. And yeah, I think for a lot of them, they're very resistant to history and political science. They are. The people come in. I am under no illusion that most people, that's not their favorite subject, especially in heated climates like today. But I say, we're going to talk about people just like us. And instead of saying, this is a far-off thing with bad things, these are everyday, average people, whether in history or today, that are just like you. They make mistakes, they make good things, and you can too. So why don't you figure out how you kind of slot into the system so you can take part?
Do your students, I feel like if you teach poli-sci, I feel like you have the most opinionated students at DMAC. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like it's possible. Do they ever tell you their blunt opinions about DMAC, both good and bad?
Oh, sure, yeah. They will. My students have opinions on everything, whether it's the election or whether it's DMAC. Yeah, they'll come out and they'll say what they love and what they hate. And maybe this is bad of me, but I don't always encourage a filter. I want to know the honest truth. I say, you're not going to offend me. That's what I always tell them, right? I don't have feelings. I don't feel ways about stuff. You can't hurt my feelings. And it takes them about a week or two, but after a little while, they'll tell me what they really think, and they won't sugarcoat it. So I get to hear all the good and bad workings of DMAC, of Des Moines, of Iowa, of elections, everything.
What's it like to what's your basic philosophy as a district chair? What's your collaborative philosophy working with other faculty members?
Sure. So as district chair, I do try to encourage a collaborative environment between disciplines and also between campuses. Because here at DMAC, it doesn't help us to do any good if everything's awesome at the Boone campus and everything's terrible at Ankeny. And so we want to connect with our instructors. We want to know what it is they're doing in the classroom. We want to know what we can do better to better serve the campuses, better to connect. Between disciplines, we're always talking about collaboration, whether by bringing in speakers or doing learning communities, because history, political science, geography, anthropology, global studies, they all really are synchronous in some of the stuff we can connect to better serve our students. Especially as we go down our pathways and we say, well, these are the things we need, we can combine them for students to make it easier for them. And so our instructors are being collaborative, our departments are being collaborative, and our campuses are being collaborative as best we can.
And yeah, you said it out. Yeah, good. Anything else you want to say or share?
7 minutes, 7.5.
I think that you said it right there. I was going to...
DMAC's awesome.
DMAC is awesome. Hi, everybody. DMAC is awesome.
There you go. Boom, boom. All right.
Yep.
I think you're good.
All right.